Hi everyone, Jlunce Reviews back here with another video. The third video this week, actually, a pretty stacked week of new stuff, new movies, and new music. And today we are talking about the brand new album from renowned singer-songwriter in the dreampop slowcore scene, once indie, kind of sort of hitting the mainstream a little bit with certain songs. We have Ethel Cain with her new album, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. This is the much talked about follow-up to her last full-length project, Preacher's Daughter, back in 2022, which is definitely one of the more beautiful, gorgeous, dream pop, slowcore, ethereal wave albums of the last several years, I would say. And the narrative surrounding this album about Ethel Cain, spearheaded by the songwriter Hayden Anhedönia, who grows up in this Baptist lifestyle back in the 1990s, and how she experiences loss, love, prejudice, and also a lot of some uncomfortable sexual themes from abuse. However, this new record over here is less of a collection of experiences of Ethel Cain and more of a prequel story around Ethel Cain's previous lover named Willoughby Tucker, and the love story that ensues over the course of the events of the record. Now, I did do a video on Ethel Cain's EP that dropped earlier this year. I did do a review of it on Album of the Year, but I didn't do a video on it, a video review of it, because I didn't think I had a whole bunch to say to the camera. I kind of wrote down my thoughts and thought that seemed better as a written review. And I thought that EP, while definitely good, it left me slightly concerned for the direction that she was going for, because there was a lot more of a subtle direction, more ambient, even darker than before, instrumentally wise, and actually lyrically too. There were a lot of very uncomfortable and very horrifying stories about sexual abuse and gender roles, I guess. A lot of tracks on that EP felt a little bit too long, definitely overstayed their welcome, a lot of drones, but some tracks like Punish are still some of the best slowcore cuts of the year. And it seems like those slowcore vibes are here to stay on this new album. This album has a lot of sweeping, grand, post-rockian, slowcore instrumentation that really takes its time and wallows in the emotions that it's trying to convey through the lyrics or through Hayden's vocal delivery. In fact, the first track, Janny, has a lawn building intro with some emo-esque guitar chords mixed with this heavy slowcore vibe. As I said before, it's very atmospheric. It's a very mesmerizing opener. I think Hayden's really good at translating and conveying pain and also intimacy at the same time through her vocal performance. And that is, of course, the case here, especially with the way that her vocal ascension kind of aligns with the backing vocals. I guess you could say that the story isn't exactly groundbreaking, but I do think that it's really endearing. I like the lyrics about Ethel basically not being able to live with the fact that her best friend might not be able to be with her, spend time with her as much now that she's with somebody and in a relationship, and she feels that she's kind of losing her as not just a friend, but as like a sister, because that's the way that she feels about this person, how important that this person is to her life. The following track is more of an instrumental cut, this dramatic, sludgy piano, heavy, atmospheric drone, similar to the EP from earlier, but it feels the soundscape is a little bit more just more defined here. It definitely has a little bit more of a dynamic feel to it. It's not too long, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It definitely has a better just pace to it, I would say, than a lot of the instrumental tracks off the EP and her previous record, honestly, as well. Then we get to one of the singles for the album, which I'm not surprised it is, considering it's definitely one of the catchier, poppier, synthier cuts on the record. I could see the song and definitely the lyrics within it going off on TikTok. I could definitely see a song like this being big amongst teenage girls. which isn't a bad thing. I think the song is really great. I think that the twist on and the reference to, I believe that Kim Carney's track that Betty Davis Eyes with the title of the track being "Fuck Me Eyes" is kind of it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it definitely is a lot more dramatic and investing than I thought it would be. It's definitely showing Ethel Cain's more jealous side with how this girl that she sees at school kind of being this symbol of sexuality, but also the perfect like Catholic girl who like goes to church and has ideals and is very seen as very praiseworthy. But at the same time, men kind of view her as like a shallow sort of sex appeal figure that they can just kind of gawk at. It's definitely some good commentary on gender stereotypes and how this heavy religious life can kind of have an effect on how you're perceived and how you kind of live your life in a time like this. And on this Fuck Me Eyes track, she kind of mentions the fact that she's worried that this guy she's falling in love with, this Willoughby Tucker guy, will fall for her because he hangs around her all the time. And you feel the intensity of that relationship boiling up in this track, even if it's not specifically about the relationship quite yet. I think the refrain on this cut is really good. I think that the chorus is pretty catchy, even if it is a little bit scandalous and a little bit biting, to say the least. But the following cut, Nettles, is definitely one of the more gorgeous cuts to me, especially because I think that Hayden does a really good job of channeling her inner Phoebe Bridgers as well as Grouper, if you've heard that ambient artist. Definitely has a little bit of that mainstream, nice, shiny chic to it. And I like the twangy Americana vibe, but the second half has even more of a contemporary country vibe with the acoustic guitars and the dramatic strings. I really like it a lot. It's a very, very, very nicely produced song. And while on the surface it is kind of a straightforward ballad, a straightforward love song about intimacy, I think that the way that it depicts this idea of a relationship kind of sparking doom for the two individuals, in a way it's very raw and depressing, but also very engaging. And I think that the song title is a pretty good representation and kind of a pretty good metaphor for exactly how Ethel Cain thinks people know her, how they can become attached to her, and how she comes with baggage and she's worried that people will inevitably be scarred by being with her. Although this track is 8 minutes, it definitely doesn't feel that way. It makes it feel like it's around half the runtime with how visceral and gripping it is. The following instrumental cut, Willoughby's theme, is a bit too long for an instrumental cut, but the building angelic church organs remind me of Rope, that Rope Away track from the newest Swans record. Really sets the stage for the emotional turmoil that is kind of going to come up in the next half of the record. Dust Bowl is definitely more of a nice, straightforward slowcore cut. A lot of Red Hot Painters influence, but also the electric guitars on this track really remind me of Duster in a way. While the lyrics on this track are kind of the least interesting, kind of just a story about like the good times that Ethel remembers with Willoughby, it's definitely important for tugging at the heartstrings and showing the positivity in the relationship before it all kind of turns to shit. And A Knock on the Door is definitely a very foreboding and contemplative song about depravity. You catch true pain and sorrow in the lyrics, as there is a lot of questioning about what this love could mean, what the consequences could be. The vocal performance mixed with the bare guitars definitely gives a lot of a low vibe, especially their first record, Live in Hope. I Live in Hope, that album for sure. And the kind of sweet nature of the guitar playing on this track also reminds me of a passage off of that Delazere EP. And then we end with the long closing heavy hitters, the 10-minute Tempest and the 15-minute Waco, Texas. Tempest is this long gestating slow burn, an emotionally dense whirlpool with thunderous bass and gloomy atonal guitars that is highly reminiscent of like a Doomgaze track, maybe one off of the Have a Nice Life record, Death Consciousness. And looking at some of the lyrics on this track, I believe it's in the perspective of Willoughby this time, as this person narrating does mention their fear of storms, their fear of the weather, which I think was a lyric mentioned on one of the tracks previous. And it tells this harrowing tale of regret and loss and crumbling love. And I really think it's kind of, it's sweet and engaging and really heartbreaking, honestly. It really truly is. You really feel the depression on this track, especially with how Willoughby tries to reassure her that it's not her fault. The tempest that is inside him, the storm that rages inside of him, is really what's causing the wreck. Her expectations for him aren't really going to help in this instance. He's just a kid, and so is she. And the closing track, Waco, Texas, stretches 15 minutes, and it's a little bit too long, but I do love the post-rocking build-up. It's pretty fantastic and immersive, honestly, from front to back. The first third utilizes that Americana sound with the synths really well, and then the slowcore second third, and then the last third explodes with this shoegazian instrumental that I think just soars over everything. It sounds really great, and her vocal ascension on this track is the harmonies are just really great. The lyrics kind of show the real world crashing down on the pair of them. And yeah, I think that I was surprised at how much I was reading into the lyrics on this album. Once I finished listening through it and actually read through the story on this record, it actually was pretty engaging. I was surprised at how well Hayden was able to intertwine the love story with these other themes that surrounded the Preacher's Daughter album as well, and kind of have it coalesce with the instrumental. It's really great. It kind of feels like a really dramatic apocalyptic romance that, I don't know, you could have seen in like a period piece movie or something. It's really cool. It's really great. I think that Ethel Cain really shines as a songwriter here and as a producer. I think that she juggles a lot of different themes of love, of sadness, of depression, of sexuality, and the emotions are tethered so well to the instrumental. It's almost like you're watching a movie unfold. It is so cinematic, it is so atmospheric and so heavy, but it doesn't shy away from having a more dynamic range of ethereal wave, of post-rock, of shoegaze, of Americana, of slowcore, obviously. I think this record is wonderful. I think it is really great. I think it is pretty angelic from start to finish. I would give it an 87 and not look back. It's definitely one of the best albums of the year thus far, and it could grow on me, especially if the instrumental cuts really sink in as well as they have already. But yeah, that's kind of it. I might talk about MGK if I listen to it. I probably won't talk about it very long, but I might talk about it. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, go listen to this project as well. And the new JID. It was also good. So yeah. See ya.